Every era of football produces players who force the game to adapt, not through noise, not through reputation, but through structure. Pele redefined physical dominance, Maradona redefined control, Messi redefined efficiency. Kylian Mbappé represents something different, not because of how often he scores, but because of how he changes space. This is not the story of Mbappé, the superstar. This is the story of why defending has become harder since he arrived. Bondy just sits outside Paris, dense, crowded, and limited space. In places like this, football is compressed, touches are fewer, decisions arrive faster. Mbappe grew up in a household shaped by sport. A coach has a father, a former professional athlete has a mother. Football was not chaos. It was structure. From an early age, Mbappe showed a specific tendency. He did not chase the ball, he chased where the ball would arrive next. While others were focused on beating opponents one against one, Mbappe focused on timing. He studied elite forwards not for style, but for function. Cristiano Ronaldo for separation, Henry for movement, Pele for anticipation. By the time he entered academy football, one principle was already clear. Pace mattered more than possession. Mbappe's rise through the French system was fast, but not effortless. At Clairefontaine, doubts existed. Too slight, too quiet, not physically imposing. At Monaco, minutes were managed carefully. Opportunities were rationed. This mattered because without physical dominance, Mbappe had to refine something else. Decision making. He improved his scanning, identifying defensive lines before receiving the ball. He refined his run timing, curving movements to stay on side while attacking blind spots. And crucially, he learned when not to sprint. Speed became a tool, not just a habit. Training staff described a player who studied defenders obsessively. Body angles, recovery speed, positioning patterns. Mbappe wasn't trying to outrun opponents. He was trying to remove them from relevance entirely. Mbappe is not a traditional winger. He is not a classic striker. He is a transition dominant forward. His primary value lies in how he attacks spaces before the defenders can reorganize. Measured top speeds above 36 kilometers per hour matters less than when he chooses to accelerate. Mbappe doesn't just exploit gaps, he creates panic in anticipation of them. Defenders adjust their positioning before he touches the ball. Lines drop earlier, cover shifts wider. This creates secondary space that benefits teammates. It is a tactical effect that rarely appears in statistics but consistently appears on the pitch. At Monaco, this destabilized entire teams. At Paris Saint-Germain, it became structural. PSG didn't invest in Mbappe because of highlights. They invested because his output is predictable under chaos. When Mbappe receives wide, defensive lines hesitate, step up, and space opens behind. Drop deep, and he isolates fullbacks. Either decision carries risk. This forces defensive compromises. Earlier cover, deeper blocks, wider spacing. Mbappe becomes a gravity point. Even without touching the ball, he alters match geometry. This is why his teams often dominate transitions and why the opponents struggle to press aggressively. Football doesn't just react to Mbappe, it reorganizes itself around him. Tournament football removes comfort, space disappears, margins shrink. In 2018, France leaned into transition. Against Argentina, Mbappe's acceleration turned structure into disorder. The match was not chaos, it was execution at speed. In the final, he scored at 19. 4 years later, the context changed. In Qatar, Mbappe was no longer an outlet, he was the reference point. Argentina attempted isolation. He responded with repetition. 3 goals, high probability actions under extreme pressure. This wasn't emotion, it was function. Mbappe is not easily comparable, not because he is greater, but because he is different. He is a player whose value lies in how defenses behave before the ball arrives. A legacy in this case will depend on environment, systems, evolution. But one conclusion is already clear. Kylian Mbappe did not simply arrive as football's next star. He arrived as a problem football is still trying to solve. Now at Real Madrid, he is their star, scoring for fun. So what should be next for Kylian Mbappé? Not winning a single UCL. Can he finally get his first UCL at Real Madrid?